Good evening everybody and welcome to a frantic, hectic, the most weirdest introduction to a race you'll probably see in a very long time. We've had a few issues this evening regarding the streaming side of stuff, and we've had to reverse to my own personal stream, which Contest of Speed will upload onto theirs as soon as possible. We're halfway through quali due to the delay. We're already 20 minutes late before the quali started, but now we're here and hopefully we can see some good racing this evening at one of my favourite tracks. And alongside me, as per, is Jack Prentice.
Yes, normally we expect a bit of fireworks and a bit of unpredictability in the racing, so it's a little bit early, obviously, with the streaming issues. But we've got a race, we've got a stream up now, and we've got one of the world's best, if not the world's best, circuits to watch the cream of the crop for EU1, the Contest of Speed Top European Championship. And it's a circuit I love, Louis. I don't know about you, but it's one of those that really gets the juices flowing.
Oh yeah, I love it. It's one of the, out of the 22, probably the best one and the most I look forward to. Hello everybody, hopefully you can hear me. Let me know if the audio is okay. I never stream on YouTube, by the way. It's very different. However, it's not different for Contest of Speed at the moment. In the Twitch issues we've been having, EU2 and EU3 I believe were streamed on the YouTube side. I've watched both of the races and they were crackers, so hopefully we are in one tonight. We've had 10 minutes already. We've got a pole over 23.994 by Bolling, 24 dead by Montana, 24.165 for Fruit for 179 for Sorensen, 186 for Sitson, 198 for Simply. It's pretty close at the top, and of course this track 80% or thereabouts taken at full throttle for your lap distance. And it's so fast paced, it's absolutely brilliant. And of course, Jack, a full grid.
Yes, always nice to have 20 runners and riders. I think we've made use of 5 at least reserves, which is what the reserve system's there for. It's a system brought in and devised by the admins for this season, in season 6, isn't it? So yeah, no, that's where it comes into its own, because this time last year we could have 14 drivers on the grid. So no, certainly full grid is what we want to see. The best drivers, and indeed the pick of the bunch from EU2 as well, and AM1. I think there's a couple from AM1 who filled in beforehand. The reason we're seeing such tight gaps, you're looking at Vaporizer on a 1 minute 23.911. He's 0.6 of a second faster than Rita in 14. Now the reason you're seeing that is because the Formula 1 car does most of its work in the slower corners in terms of gaining lap time. If you're quicker than somebody in the slower corners, you're 2 tenths quicker than somebody there, you're likely to be, at around average circuits, a lot faster over a lap. Silverstone doesn't really have many slower corners, and even the one like Luffield, for example, which I'm watching Bolin, who's just gone second on his 1 minute 23.9. Even Luffield, you're kind of waiting for the car to get on the power. That corner is extremely frustrating, and the car doesn't really do a lot, apart from, if you've got poor traction, that's the only place that you will lose any time. But apart from that, you only really have the loop, where you turn, hard on the brakes on for the right-hander, and then for the left-hander to bring you back onto the Wellington Straight, and Vale and Club Chicane, really. So most of it's taken very, very fast, and that's why you're seeing time so close. I mean, the top 10 are covered by 0.3 of a second.
Yeah, it's crazy. You may have just seen on the minimap the 2 Mercedes helping themselves out down to Stoke. I'm sure they were helping Montana, who is now gone pole by just over 0.03 of a second. So Silverstone, we all know it for what it is. One of the longest tracks behind Spa, 5.9 kilometres, 26 laps of racing this evening, 2 DRS zones, EU3 and EU2, as I will explain in the formation lap, has brought up some corkers of some races this week, and hopefully we get one here as well. 18 corners, 10 right, 8 to the left. You've got a pit average down to 29 seconds. It's an extremely long pit stop here at Silverstone, all at 37 miles an hour as well. An average speed of nearly 250 kilometres an hour. I can't quite put that into miles an hour off the top of my head.
150 thereabouts.
150. So let's find someone who's on an outlap and go on a flying lap of Silverstone. Is anyone close to the finish line?
There's
Okay.
a racing point of Simply who's just coming into Stowe on his outlap, so I think he's probably the one to follow, Limmy.
Do you want to do the track, or do you want me to do a run through of
I'm quite happy to do the track now, so
Okay,
I'm just going to set me to ride on board, and it's one of the best.
Yeah, let's go on board.
So we're going to fire ourselves now out of the final corner onto a short, sharp straight, which gets very difficult in the first opening lap. You're going to go flat through Abbey now, and flat again through the left-handed, building up to about 190 miles an hour before you stamp on the brakes. Turn the car in, but you need a straight exit, and maybe to bring the car out to the left-hand side. Not critical to hit the apex for the left-hander there, because it's an acceleration zone. If you've got better traction, it doesn't matter where you are on the circuit. Now for the first sector, what's his first sector like? It's 26.8. He's just 400 up on his personal best now through Brooklands. Luffield now, a long, frustrating corner. You have to wait for the car to get itself together before you try and find the best line of least resistance. Again, you're doing that through Woodcut now into Stowe corner. Taken flat out if you do it right. Losing maybe 3 miles an hour. That's done perfectly there from Simply now. Through Maggots and Beckett's, the best section on the circuit, and indeed possibly the world. You don't really brake until you get to the third apex. You need to bring the car out to the left-hand side and take the line of least resistance now down the hanger straight. Before you spot your braking point for Stowe. Don't need to spot it for very long because you're only down the gears, 2 gears to 6th gear. 140 miles an hour. Straighten the exit up now, and he goes into the pits before I could ever get to guide you through the Club and Vale chicane. But that's a lap of Silverstone.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jack. That was pretty detailed, and a lot of cars in the pits. Of course, we did join late, so we've only got enough time to see the final batches of laps. But the good thing is, that's the most important. I'm hoping Bolin can get to the pits in time. I believe he's run out of fuel. Luckily for him, he can probably do all the next part at 95 miles an hour because the track's so wide. So Fruitful's on an outlap. And by the way, I believe, I could be wrong if someone could correct me, it is Fruitful's 100th race at Contest of Speed. And also tonight, we could crown a champion. If Fruitful finishes 9th or below and Montana wins, or if you want that in plain English, if Montana beats Fruitful by 23 points, he will be crowned the Season 6 champion, even with 4 more races to go, which we've got 1 more next week in Australia, and we have a break, and then we have 3 more after it. So Bolin's coming into a pit just in time, should be able to get out 2 minutes.
On pole.
2
On a
minutes.
1 minute 23.7, Limmy. Sorry to cut across.
No, it's all right.
He might be
You're
a bit late in terms of getting back out, but he's got his work done early. The new signing for IFR is indeed about half the grid appear to be now. Has got his work done early on a 1 minute 23.7, and that is very difficult to find in a modern Formula 1 car now.
So thank you to T-Ball's task system. We're able to get information directly of who's coming out of the pits, what tyres they're on, what attempt they're on, and of course who's going purple and who's beating their sectors during the final course of qualifying, which is to come. It is flat out from lights out to village in Formula 1 cars, so it'll be interesting to see what the grid shows up to be in about 2.5 minutes time, once everyone's passed the checker flag, to put their final times in. And we've set the weather because we had an issue before. It was set to all dry, so we personally set it to light cloud for the whole of this evening, and of course the race is pretty quick, so the 20 minutes we lost at the start should cater up for a Monaco race in the end. And of course we've got interviews after, so we're in for a little bit of a late night, but hopefully it'll be worth it for you guys.
So the one driver who's already most of the way round his lap is Dracer in 15th. A very strong EU2 driver, just 7/10 off pole. He's probably the only person to be not doing a lap when the checker flag falls, but he might well get his work done early, and that might be a good thing because it means he doesn't have to dodge traffic. He's now heading into Stowe if you want to follow him, Libby, and I'll let you take him through the rest of the lap now. It's Dracer Batten, 15th for the Haas.
Sure.
Just behind Collider, his teammate. A very good EU2 pairing they are now, as he does fire himself out far from the bow chicane. Acceleration zone, clip the curb on the inside, but not too much, and it's 12th for Dracer.
It is
not
12th.
a bad place to start if you want to do something different.
Yes, the car behind was Fruitful, improved by a tenth and a bit only good enough for 4th fastest. Montana is routing ground village as we speak. Got to keep an eye on everyone if we can. Reese is going through Maggots and Beckett's, and I'm pretty sure he's not going to reach for line. Maybe he's here to help his teammate, but he's not going to reach for line either. It says 3 seconds left on my clock, which I hope is correct. Vaporizer is through Aintree at the moment. He's coming through village as his teammates through Luffield now. Rowan is through the last part of Beckett's. He may invalidate on the Chapel Curve and has done so. Here's Sorensen in the Alpha Tauri coming through Maggots, fully flat out as JP said until the last little bit of Beckett's, and takes as much curve as he can with DRS. And you can see in the bottom right he's got that red fuel gauge, which means he's probably just loaded enough fuel, just about to complete the lap here. It's so close in the midfield. We'll stay on board with the Alpha Tauri and see the times fly in as a couple of people who couldn't reach the checker flag start to pit. Here he is through Vale, through Club. What a view that is if you've ever sat in Club before. That's where I'll be going next. Across the finish line, Sorensen goes P3 in the Alpha Tauri. That could be pretty good.
Got Montana now to cross the line. He's just coming out of the final corner. Acceleration zone again. And then what's he going to go? It's good enough for an improvement, but nothing more. He went 15 thousandths faster, just a hair's breadth.
I don't think Bolin crossed the checker flag in time, if my maths is correct. Here's Vaporizer. Now we know what happened at the start of Japan last week. The 2 Mercedes went wheel to wheel. Are we going to be wheel to wheel on the same row? Not on the same row. He's just behind by 2 milliseconds. So close. I'm pretty sure the Alphas can't complete their lap. Calzo, did he cross the line in time? No, I don't think he did. Bowen made it, did he?
He's going into Stowe now. He's up. Not that it matters,
I don't think
but
he
he's
made
up.
it. Checker flag went 1 minute 30 ago and he's 1 minute 10 into the lap. So I'm not too sure, but we'll stay on board with it just in case my timer is wrong. I've had that issue quite a few times for the final bit of the lap, probably the hardest bit later on with tyre wear in the race. Here is Bolin and doesn't improve. So that is the end of
fuel across the line, I think.
That's the end of qualifying. If Calzo is did he pass the finish line? I don't think he did. We'll just make sure he didn't. Oh, maybe he did. Okay. Well, that was 13th for Calzo. He's now in the top 10. So I'm guessing my timer was a bit out.
Potentially. I heard as Bolan went on, I was on board with him. I heard it sort of start to cut out.
Did you see
Stinson went second late.
How did I not see that?
I think it's everything really with the stream, but that does mean that the Mercedes Geo of Montana and Vaporizer are a bit 2-2, and it's a bit unusual, really, isn't it, for Montana starting in third? I'll leave it through the top 10, if that's okay.
I will. So the 2 IFR gang on the front row, McLaren Alpha, Bolin, Stinson, 14 thousandths of a second separate them. Then we move down to 10th. Montana Vaporizer, it's an all Mercedes second row on the grid. Sorensen and Fruitful, another 2 of the IFR gang. A lot of drivers going with IFR recently. Charlie Simply, Reset and Calzo in the Red Bull completed the top 10. Rowan is outside of the top 10. Pretty sure he wouldn't have liked to have been there. Thank you for joining on the stream. I know it's not the same as Twitch, and I know it's not on the Contest of Speed, but I will give them a footage so we can put it on Contest of Speed, and hopefully it's a good race and it'll be worth doing.
I promise you now, Contest of Speed admins, his rates are quite cheap, so you should be able to get a good price for it.
Yes, and of course, as you know, I'm sure a lot of you have done British races before. We don't tend to do the turn numbers, we tend to do the turn names here, unlike, I don't know, for example, Zambro, but you don't use the names, or Italy, where you all have corner names, Parabolica, Curva Grande, Lesmos, and that's what's good about Silverstone. It's so identifiable. As soon as I say Cops, as soon as I say Stowe Village, you know exactly where it is, and that's how many drivers in here are British? I'm just having there's actually not many, is there?
No, they all tend to populate EU2 and EU3. I think, which is just where we're at the moment. The certainly a strong Dutch and Danish contingent. There's a couple of.
Oh, that's a nice word, contingent. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, no. See, I'm full of them sometimes.
I like that.
I think it's Conzo and Calzo, the 2 Flying Scotsmen in the Red Bulls. I think, plus Jonathan Cox reserving at Renault. I don't think there's that many.
Oh, did you put a formation lap on?
I can't believe this. Well, we're going to have to get on with it.
Do we crack on? Okay, never mind, we crack on. It's lights out and away we go. Bollin leads Stinson. Montana leads Vaporizer. Sorensen tries to go round the outside. There's a spin with a racing point involving two cars. It's probably going to be a safety car just like EU2. And it is a safety car like EU2. What a mess of a start here at Silverstone. 4 cars at the back going incredibly slow. And it may, having no formation lap, have played a mini part.
Yes, obviously the drivers weren't prepared, hadn't gone round the track to take a bit of a sighter run, and no, it's just been a bit of issues, I think, catching up with us there. So I can only apologise for that.
I mean, I'm not an admin. I'm gonna have to check with Roland very quickly because that can cause a lot of controversy between drivers and etc. And I will just have to check if we have to do a re-lobby because it couldn't be classed as fair if they weren't ready for it, and contest of speed being as accurate as possible, we'll just have to get that checked from the admins very quickly.
Okay, so we should have to check that, but at the moment we do have a race on and it is a safety car. It looks to me like all 20 drivers are still running, which is the positive, so nothing's been permanently damaged. As the leaders now, Bolin, Stinson are pitting, Montana and Vaporizer. Vaporizer's got himself a bit of a gap. And now we've got Sorensen, Simply. Interesting to see who doesn't pit. The Renaults of Rowan and Jonathan Cox have not pitted, so they're going a bit ultra. I think Thomas has left the session now. I don't quite know where things are going.
From Rowan, it's a lobby restart.
It is a lobby restart. Okay, so we will be restarting the lobby. Full grid as it was. Drivers will have to select the same tyres that they qualified on, or indeed started the race on. So we will be doing a full lobby restart. And let's just quickly go and get that set up. Whilst Lemmy either ends the broadcast briefly, or we take a bit of filler. This is where you need David Croft, isn't it?
I'm gonna just treat it as a red flag, to be honest, and just keep talking because I don't want my stream to break. And the problem is, it's very easy to say, "Oh, crack on," but at the end of the day, rules are rules. We have to set a formation lap. We take responsibility. It has to be set. And it can be a very, very unfair advantage on people that weren't told. It's a rule of online racing, especially at contest of speed. You have to follow the rules, or it's just arguments. But yeah, any comments, and we'll try and whack through. We've got to invite the drivers again. Jack will make sure there's a formation lap, and I'll just get up the quali grid very quickly to send a picture in to Jack, so he'll be able to fix it. And for one of my favourite races of the season, it has been an absolute nightmare. The stream wouldn't work on 3 different services. The formation lap obviously was bugged or wasn't put on, but it's all good. We have Singapore after Christmas, and that's probably going to be as long as this anyway. So, and yeah, right. Let me send Jack the quali grid very quickly. Do that as quick as I can. I'm guessing. Okay. I don't know if I can just turn the stream audio off, but Jack, I'm sure you know what you're doing. I'm sure you know you've done this before.
Set up now. We'll get you sent across.
That's alright.
And then we'll get this sorted out.
So you're going to hear, ladies and gentlemen, the inside to 2 commentators trying to set up a lobby again. We've already done it for once tonight. And the reason,
practice at this stage.
Yeah, good practice. The reason I'm not restarting the stream because there is a chance it may not work again, and we can't afford to do that. So I'm just sending Jack a picture of the quality grid, and then we should be able to get going. Okay, right. JP, I sent you the grid on Discord.
Copy. Okay.
And you just need to wait till everyone's in to be able to shuffle it. So I believe that's correct. Bond is doing some time papers. Okay.
I'm going to spectate and get as many of these over as quickly as possible.
Right. This is a good omen for our broadcast tonight. Yeah, you American guys will be. You'll probably have it sorted.
Well, you've certainly seen how not to do it. Let's,
yeah.
they'll be able to take that and do.
Why restart? Simply there was no formation lap and they weren't ready for it.
No formation lap, caught some drivers out, and
there was a massive incident of a back involving 4 cars. But there we go. Can we talk about why they added a little Mickey Mouse here before the main straight when they redid the circuit? Well, Jack actually prefers the old circuit.
I do.
I don't, corner. But that's because I don't have much experience of the old circuit. So.
I miss Bridge Corner, to be perfectly honest. It was probably the fastest, well, one of the best.
So you're going to see some blue screens at a minute while I just invite everyone. And we can only shuffle the grid once we have everyone in. So this is up to the drivers now. I'm pretty sure Jack's been cracking on with the invites. Has everyone got one? I'll try and send one as well. So hopefully this race is worth it because we're a little bit delayed. I say a little bit. We should have been in the race at about 25 past. It's now 52. So about half an hour late. You check the formation lap, Jack? Alright. So with near we got everyone in. I'll just keep inviting. I hope it's a good race now, ladies and gentlemen. I really, really do. But yeah, I mean, I know it was a bit of a mess on the formation lap, but just like EU3 or 2, it was one of them. A lap 1 safety car, and in the other race where there wasn't a safety car, there was a couple of spins, and one of them actually was Roland spinning, I'm pretty sure. Yes. And just want to clarify as well, if you've just joined, that we are celebrating 2 things this evening. We've got football's 100th race at COS, and we could be seeing a champion if things go his way. I mean, they have to go incredibly his way. Football has to score 9th or below, and Montana has to win. And Montana isn't starting on the front row this evening. And that's always interesting. Fruitful's dropped to 5th as well, I believe. Sorensen's ahead. Sorensen put a good lap in at the end of quali as well. Trying to think of... Trying to improvise while inviting people is very, very tricky, ladies and gentlemen. But I know we got through the invites. Oh, really? Okay. Okay, well, I'll invite those to him. We should be okay. If you want to tag him in the chat, mate. I still fully believe Britain will be done within 40 minutes. I'm hoping the drivers will still want to do the interviews after. Racing Point Gang, one of them's in and simply just needs to pick his car, and then we'll be almost ready to go again. Okay, Jack, I think everyone's in.
Okay, so the grid that you've sent doesn't account for Calzo. Where did Calzo go? Because he went into the top 10.
Yeah, he
so
did. Did I put him in the top 10?
The screenshot that you've got has him 13th.
Yeah,
so
it was 10th. I sent you on Thingy, I typed it out 1 to 20.
Right, so when it comes to setting it up...
Yeah.
Okay, so
Carl's got 10.
You've got 20 drivers in, everyone's in.
Yep.
Okay, so in terms of setting the grid, I now need to set the grid now, don't I?
Yep.
So it's custom grid editor, and that would be, so, a bit presumptuous at putting Montana on pole position, so what we will do...
Okay. You'll be cracking on with that, won't you? I don't wanna interrupt you.
Right, so
yeah, we'll check the settings. Apparently,
so
just check that gearbox is auto according to a driver.
It is also auto. Yep, gearbox has been changed to auto. I'm sure of that. So. Right,
So I'll just double check the grid on my side, just to double check so we don't have any issues.
So Bolin will start from pole position.
So Bowen, Stinson, Montana, Vaporizer, Somerset, Fruitful, Charlie, Simply, Risa, Calzo in 10th, Rowan, Caladri, Matrix, Dresse Basson in 14th. Then it goes Hasigome, Jelt, Jonathan Cox, Conto, Thomas and John. Yep.
Anything Vaporizer.
So that grid is absolutely correct.
IFR Sorensen. Fruitful will start from 6th. Well, this is the new way of going through the grid, isn't it now?
Yeah. Do you want me to read it out to you, if you want?
IFR Fruitful should be in 6th. He is. In 7th place, we've got Charlie in the Racing Points. And in 8th place, Simply. P9 was IFR Racer in the...
We will check the settings, everybody. We'll check the vehicle damage.
P10 was Calzo. Calzo went from 13th, didn't he?
Yeah, he's 10th. Yeah.
That's a P10. Sneaking himself into the top 10 ahead of Rowan and Collider. So Rowan will be leading. Collider will be 11th. or 12th, sorry, behind Rowan. In 13th was Matrix. Racer 14th. Racer 14th, that's Gikome, will start from 15th. Was Yates.
So what you're hearing right now is the thinking process of Jack's brain. And yes, we will check the damage, don't worry.
Yeah, damage will be checked.
We will sort it.
Setting the grid. You want to start from the back.
And we will go through everything as well to make sure. Jack's normally absolutely perfect with this stuff. We've just had a slight hiccup.
Make sure that damage is indeed.
Let them play bumper cars with no damage, yes. Sorry,
yeah,
Jack,
no, I don't think that would work. So, well, we've got the formation lap on. Rules of flag, safety car, ghosting is on as well.
Yeah.
Collisions, part term A.
Yeah.
Formation lap.
Yeah.
Race start to manual. We've just got as well to go with the assists. ABS is on, but braking assist is off as well.
Yeah.
The traction control on 4 gearbox is automatic.
Yeah.
All of the assists, except for the dynamic racing line, so your pit, your ERS and your DRS and your fuel are all off.
Yeah.
Dynamic racing line is on.
Yeah.
That means...
Are you happy with the grid?
I'm going into spectating. I'm as happy as I can be.
Okay. I'll let them know. Right. So that was the red flag. And just like it was in Magello, Michael Massey's having a bit of a mare. But we're back. So hopefully it's fixed. And we will have a formation lap. And we're only 35 minutes late, it's all good. Could have flown home from London to Manchester in that time, but you know, it's all good.
You have a stat for everything.
Yeah, I do. I like my stats. You know I like my stats. Stinson, after this delay, it's vodka time. I do you a deal, Mr. Stinson. If you get in the top 5, you can have a vodka. I know you did well in quali, but now we need to see some race pace over 26 laps. I'm sure America won't have this issue, but if they do, they know where to come for help. I mean, not here. So everyone needs to load their setups. Everyone needs to pick the same quality tyre in the top 10, which is soft, so everyone will do that, I'm sure. They'll have brand new softs as well, by the way, to start this race. And the weather is light cloud. We make sure to set that. Jack can have a mini breather before we get going. He's had a lot of, should we say, finger work to do.
You could not have picked the worst word.
Yeah, I know. 2 IFRs on the front row, 2 Mercedes on the second row, another 2 IFRs on the third row. I know they probably wasn't an accurate representation of Lights Out last time, but Sorensen got a pretty bad start, but then pulled it through Abbey. So we might see a bit of that as well. Hopefully everyone's got their setups on. You can see not many people ready to go, which is kind of a good sign at this point. 20 seconds to the formation lap. We've been waiting since 25 past 10 tonight, but it is coming. Thank you to all for joining on my YouTube. It won't be here ever again, probably. I don't really do anything on my YouTube, but yeah, thank you. Good viewership, considering it's on YouTube. Me and Jack appreciate it a lot.
We certainly do indeed, and we can confirm that we do have indeed a formation lap. So you know, a big clap for himself for not managing to cock it up quite so badly this time around.
So medium tyres for everyone in the bottom 10, apart from Calidri and Dresse Basson, who've gone softs, and you've got Jonathan Kotz on hards. TAS is now activated, and of course I just want to mention very quickly, so Lights Out in Japan, two Mercedes went wheel to wheel. One of them came out of it alive. One of them went to last. We've got two Mercedes on the same row again. And two cars can easily go together through Abbey. That's not a question. But it seems that in every tier, and not just this league, in every other tier league, there's always something that happens as we go flat out from lights out to Village, Jack. I still feel something's going to happen at the start of this race.
Incidents in the first sector in both European races this week. So I think you're right in what you say. There was incidents at the Grand Prix Loop as well as the opening corner at Silverstone last night anyway. And there was a bit of argy-bargy in the midfield in EU3 on Monday night. Yes, no, you're right in what you say. It's one of the widest tracks we go to, Silverstone. So you can race side by side, remarkably side by side, for such a flat-out racetrack. So which does help the drivers and does help obviously the spectators at home, because it gives us great racing at high speed, which is what we all want to see.
I know a lot of you in the chat have either been racing here this week at Contest of Speed or have raced here before. There are many factors that can change the complexity of a race here. Pit stops, safety cars, incidents, wind damage early on. And Jack, just very quickly before we lights out, that mediums can actually go quite a long way if you can look after them.
They certainly can. Drivers have been able to take them this week for an early safety car to the end from probably lap 4 or 5. There won't be much good towards the end of the race, but they will still be able to get you up the grid and be able to really see you steal a march, especially in this event of a safety car.
So it's Fruitful's 100th race. We can crown a champion tonight, maybe, if everything goes his way. We're about to see what happens here at Silverstone as the revs start to build. Bolin is on pole. What happens from here on in? It's lights out and away we go. So Bolin leads Stinson, but not very long. Montana leads Vaporizer as we go flat out through Abbey. Bolin is just ahead of Stinson, and there's an AlphaTauri going wide just back. I think it's Somerson, who's now dropped 3 places and maybe more. There's a virtual safety car before we even get to Village, and I believe that was from Mr. Somerson, who has actually gone out of this Grand Prix.
Looks like he got forced wide there as he was, I think he was off the 3rd row, wasn't he? So it looks like he got forced wide. And when you get out onto that runoff area on cold tyres and heavy fuel, you lose a lot of grip. So I couldn't see the final part of that incident, so I can't tell you exactly how he came to be out of the race. But I do know that he would have had awful grip and brought out the safety car as a part of having to spit it back across the track.
So Sorensen is the man out, and it's not nice to see as he got a 5th place in qualifying, and he would probably been really up for this Silverstone Grand Prix. We've still got a VSC as we head towards Maggots and Beckett's just to stabilise the pack. Oh, there we go. It's ended quite quickly as I said that, and we're now back to green racing conditions. Through Maggots and Beckett's we go. Bolin is led by Stinson, Montana and Fruitful, who's now in the middle of the 2 Mercedes as we head towards Stowe. Charlie has got a small gap to Calzo, simply still 8th place. Rowan has made moves on the mediums up to 11th as we now go through Stowe.
So talking about the championship battle, Fruitful actually got ahead of Vaporizer in the melee of all of that, so now he's right on the back of his title rival. That's Montana in the Mercedes. Really does need to get ahead if he's to stand any chance of maybe, if not closing the gap, then prolonging it a little bit longer, because the way Montana is, he can afford to sit in 3rd place.
Askakome has picked up a 5-second penalty, and I'm guessing that was for a collision before we had the virtual safety car. Flat out the cars were now through down to Village, and we come down the Wellington straight to Brooklands. Bolin is still ahead of Stinson, and Fruitful still splitting the Mercedes. There has been a wheel-to-wheel action between Risa and Jelt. They just swapped momentarily, but Risa's got back in front, and just further back Giorno has made a move on Thomas for 18th place.
So, yes, no action at the back there. We've got Jonathan Cox, who's on hard tyres. He's gone alt strategy. He's banking on, well, no, can't tell you what he's banking on, to be perfectly honest, because the medium size is a better race tyre. Maybe he's thinking towards the end of the stint. Well, I won't give him much advantage now because he's just received a penalty, but maybe he's thinking towards the end of the stint that he might be able to get the drivers ahead on
Someone's
the
gone off,
tyre
JP.
wear.
And it's Dresse Basson. And he took a 3-second time penalty for going off just before Chapel as well. He's going to be overtaken by John O2 as they head down to Stowe. So Dresse Basson having problems. I still feel so sorry for Sorensen, who's waited all this delay time. And it didn't look like his car retired once he went off a track. He might have been hit by someone. I'm not too sure as we head onto lap 3. 27.5 is the time so far. I'm sure that's going to come down. I'm going to check TAS in a minute, or when I get a second, to see what else has happened throughout the grid. No pit stops from anybody yet, but penalties are starting to come in already early in this race.
Yes, no, 3-2 for corner extension, or track extension. That's Jonathan Cox and Dresse. Dresse, I think, will be unlucky. He certainly didn't gain an advantage by going off. He lost 5 places, so he might get that revoked. And Aski Kome, who made a little bit of body contact when it was the safety car conditions, which of course is a big no-no. Interested to see a bit of a gap now developing between the top 10, which includes a medium shod Rowan, and Matrix in 11th. Matrix is quite slow on these medium tyres. He's 2.5 seconds back from Collider, and he's a bit of a cork in the bottle. You've got Risa behind on soft tyres, who's really keen to get past. He's 4 tenths back and needs to get this move done quickly, otherwise his race is going to be scuppered.
You're absolutely right. Just look at the telemetry. A lot of cars running more than 2.5 laps worth of fuel. That's not 2.5 laps at just 2.5 laps. That's 2.5 laps of rich fuel and more. There's been a yellow flag down to Stowe. I believe it was a Renault as we come through club with the race leader on board with his gearbox as we look at everyone else come through down to Abbey at the moment. So interesting, lots of fuel on the cars, lots of batteries still left between the people, and the new colour coding for the tyre wear is helping me out quite a bunch.
Okay, so Jonathan Cox is now, to compound his misery, he went off and hit Strife at the back, which dropped him all the way to 19th, and he's just sped into the pit lane. So forced out for the Renault Reserve as Yelt has just spun off. Yelt had just passed Matrix, not Matrix, he just passed Reese and was chasing down Matrix, got on the power a bit too early out of the left-hander at the Grand Prix loop, and has dropped himself all the way back to 18th. So a disaster for the McLaren, who's looking good on medium tyres to score some points. It's not going to happen now unless he stages a great fight back, because those rear tyres are going to be extremely hot.
So that's a McLaren and a Renault at the back. DRS is on, of course, lap 4. Haven't seen any proper overtakes at the front in the top 10 with DRS yet, but hopefully that's to come. Position changes, top 3 unchanged, up 2 for Free now splits for Mercedes because Faye Price has dropped 1, up 3 for Calzo simply stayed the same, and you can see at the bottom a couple of people losing out, but Jono's up 4 and so is Conzo. So positions have been made since lights out and lap 4 as we head into Vale, and the club part with Bowen and Stinson still right behind each other, and Bowen is going to have to manage a little bit here with the cars very fast behind him, but don't count him out for a race win this evening. The 2 IFR boys on the front 2 at the moment, and Montana is still behind them, 6 tenths behind Stinson at the moment, as there's a slight lock-up from Bowen, but he survives the chase from Stinson.
Both got a lot of VRS left, which is going to be handy for Boland because he's going to need a lot of that. It's a short DRS zone going into Brooklands. Stinson is spending a lot of his battery now to try and get past, but thinks better of it and actually conserves. He's only spent about 3 or 4% more than Boland going into there. It's a long race, and you could be looking at the back of somebody for a very, very long time. The DRS trains do get rather large, and are very difficult unless you're significantly faster than the car around to break out of. That's because you're spending most of the lap at high speed, and because you are, as Jonathan Cox was asked, because you were never really able to gain, unless the driver makes a mistake, on the car ahead or behind, unless you're fundamentally a lot faster.
Now, I'm not going to blame Jonathan Cox here, but the reason we have the first restart is Stinson going to have a go on Bolin. He's not just going to have a go, he's going to have a proper go. And just before Stowe, Stinson is now in the lead, and he didn't waste no time at the fastest part. I'll get to that point about Jonathan in a second. And that closes Montana into 4 tenths. Bowen and Stinson, I feel this could be a right little battle for the race win later on.
Yeah, you don't need to panic though if you're Bolin, because it's easy, as I said, to stay within DRS, and he can now save a little bit more of his battery. Perfectly clean, executed move from Stinson, going down the inside, just made it stick out, braked him.
Oh,
and,
Montana down the inside, Jack, just very quickly, and he can't get the traction down, the Mercedes driver, and he's going to struggle now, but he may get some slipstream. Bonnie's got DRS in front. Has Montana got enough pace and slipstream to try and make a move into Brooklands? Not quite, but Montana could have had that move if he didn't get the 2 losses of traction that he had coming out of Village.
The way to overtake into that left-hander, really, you need to be on the outside with better traction, or you need to have enough of your car ahead to effectively be the corner and execute a block pass. He wasn't quite alongside enough, and of course when you've got a tighter turn, when you've got in a heavy traction zone, you're going to lose the back end. No harm done, he'll have another go, I'm sure.
The top 10 separated by only 5.6 seconds and 19.4 to the back of the grid. It's quite a close grid at the moment, which is really good to see. Also, yeah, Wizard, Stinson does want that vodka. Also, I've been told, JP, that when Sorensen went off a track, he hit a racing point of trying to re-enter the track. So incredibly unlucky for Sorensen. And him and Jonathan Cox are out. And I was just about to say to Jonathan, because he didn't join the first time, that's why we had to do a lobby restart. But now he's out, so unlucky. And Reese is now into the pits. I'm sure the soft tyres can do more than that, Jack. I don't know. You can tell me. You've been here this week.
They can, but the medium tyres can pretty much go from lap 4 onwards and they'll be absolutely fine. He was stuck behind Matrix.
Oh,
Matrix
sorry, Jack, got to interrupt. There's a
roadblock.
Haas driver who's just maybe hit another driver or something. Oh, it's Dresse Basson again. It's a second time in the first 3 corners that he struggled to make it through in one piece. And I'm not sure if he's got damage, but Jack has Dresse Basson, 2 incidents, and he's going to have to do something incredibly special to even get points.
Potential for a safety car, because when you have an accident here, you have a big one. No damage. I can't tell you, I can't describe the accident very much, but I do know that his rear tyres, if he's having to rescue himself, as Conzo gets a penalty in 13th, if he is having to rescue himself, then he's got really now to either pit for medium tyres. They can go to the end, but he's going to have to nurse those rear tyres for a long, long time, because they will be incredibly hot.
So just back to your point, you were saying that the mediums can go from now to the end?
Yes, drivers have successfully taken them in safety car periods. From probably lap 4 onwards, they weren't much good towards the end, but they certainly get you enough of that short-term advantage. And as the fuel goes, these tyres don't deteriorate that much. But Silverstone, they tend to have a harder combination of tyre and tyre choice support from Pirelli and their Magic Wheel. And that's why the wear, the sort of degradation, isn't so much of a problem as the cars get faster and faster.
So more cars are coming into the pits. Once everyone's done their pit stops, I'll check the position changes, then we'll get a better update of what's going on. Montana is still struggling incredibly out of Village. About 20 seconds ago, we went on board with him as Jack was speaking, and struggling for traction massively compared to Bowen and Stinson as they go flat out through cups, 100% on the telemetry. The cars still going flat out, even with a little bit of tyre wear. It's not the most tyre demanding track, but definitely hurts them a tiny bit. So Stinson, Bolin, Montana, top 3 at the moment. Fufu's just behind, so his Vaporizer, Charlie and Calzo have kept within a second of each other. Here's Bolin's opportunity to retake the lead of the British Grand Prix, and taken it he has, as he's now in the lead with Stinson behind.
Montana's sitting there like a shark. He's got 70% of his battery left, whilst drivers ahead of him have got between 30 and 40. Bolin's done a bit of charging since I've said that, so he's now back up at sort of 55 on. But Montana has a clear battery advantage now in the top 3. That could be crucial if he does need to press his button to try and get ahead of these in an overcut or an undercut.
What a view that is on Bolin's gearbox you just saw as we went all the way down to Abbey. It's just a brilliant view, seeing that massive building on the left and the whole of all the way down from turn 18 to turn 1 club to Abbey. We go down the Wellington straight, and Fruitful did take a pit stop and let's see if that undercut pays off to try and get ahead. See how quick he is on the medium tyres as we're on board with Montana as we leave Luffield now. And like Jack said, literally a shark waiting for the overtake. And what we're going to see, are we going to see undercut attempts by one of these, I was going to say top 3, but include Vaporizer and Calzo in that conversation because they're within a second too.
I think if you're Calzo, you lose nothing by undercutting, because you've got 2 cars ahead from the same team. You'll pass one of them unless things go totally wrong, and the reason I say that is because the undercut is very, very powerful here. Those soft tyres don't really last very long at all. We said it wasn't a very tyre demanding track. It's not 100% true it is, but on medium tyres, if the tyres are up to temperature and the car's still producing enough downforce, there's 2 drivers pit, Stinson and Vaporizer, then you can get plenty of purchase and plenty of time.
I believe Stinson has picked up a penalty. We'll just check that because the pit logo has just overtaken it.
3 seconds.
Rowan has obviously cracked on the mediums. He's got to find the perfect opportunity to put the softs on in a little while. So do a few other of the medium drivers but haven't pitted as yet. We'll let these standings update as people start flying out of the pits and we wait for the next batch of the soft runners to pit too. Still on board with Bolin though. He's got Montana behind him as he heads down to Buckland's like 10 and 26. I did say it'd be a quick race. It's flying through at the moment.
Yes, it is. Now, Rowan is 5.5 seconds behind Montana, but he's doing the ultra strategy, the sort of alternative strategy, if you like.
Oh, big moment here, Jack. 1 sec as we go into Village. And has Fruitful got the undercut on Stinson? Coming out of Village, I think he has. But Stinson's going to have some... he's not going to have DRS, so it couldn't have been at the DRS detection zone before he got there. But Fruitful pitted a lap earlier. And the big news is he's now ahead. And the only thing that's a disadvantage, he's got a lap extra wear of tyres, but I don't think that's going to stop him in his 100th race for cars.
That won't matter. What does matter, though, is the fact that Bolin and Montana are out front, and they're going to have...
That was a late car. I don't know if you saw it, Jack. Bolin literally didn't know either it was going to come in the pits or not, and just skips across the grass and into the pits. This is going to be a big moment here. So we'll go on board with Fruitful. I believe he's net 3rd, I'm guessing, at this time, because Stinson and Vaporizer are behind. But Stinson has just come out of nowhere and retaken that spot ahead of Fruitful. So we'll go on board with the Alfa Romeo very quickly. Big moment this, as Montana and Bolin are inside the pits at the moment. Has the undercut work from Stinson and Fruitful? It was important that he got past Fruitful just a minute ago. And let's see if he got in front of Montana and Fruitful at Bolin. So there's Bolin. Where's Montana? He's come out below Fruitful, and that's net 4th place.
Oh no, he spun.
Who
He's
spun?
Not just that, it's Montana. Montana got tagged. I don't know whether he tagged his teammate or whether they collided, but he's damaged his front wing. This is huge for the British Grand Prix.
Absolutely right. We head into Brooklands. We'll go back to that in a second. So Bolin leaks Stinson, leaked Fruitful, Vaporizer, Montana's teammate. Montana's got wing damage according to Jack, and I'm sure he's absolutely right. And he's going to have to pit again. You can see he can't quite turn through Luffield, and I'm not sure what caused the damage. You probably have a better idea. But this may have some implications, taking the championship to at least Australia next week.
I just simply caught it as I was cycling back through to try and find out, because he came out in net 4th. That battle held each other up, but it didn't hold them up enough for Montana not to get caught up when he came back out. Now, it's a very wide corner entry. There's 2 distinct lines. I didn't catch who he tagged. I didn't catch
I know who it is.
Was.
It's come up on TAS. It was Charlie. They both got the same damage. So Charlie's got 31 damage on his left wing. Montana's got 31 damage on his right wing. Exactly the same time, TAS says.
So that's who crashed into. That's who crashed into Montana.
So where was Charlie? Oh wait, Charlie was the guy who undercutted and made that much time.
Yeah, so that was what happened afterwards. Charlie crashed into Montana.
It's pit lane now, Mike.
Retired into the pit. So Charlie hit Montana when Montana was stricken, when he was, in the pits. I don't know how Montana came to be resting sideways coming out of that right-hander. I don't know whether he made contact with anybody, if he made contact with anybody, but the closest car to him was his teammate. So I don't know whether he hit the curb or what the situation is. That's something we're going to have to find out.
It is, and I'm having a feeling that Charlie has retired, obviously because of a damage, but is it because he maybe was at fault and thought he was going to receive a penalty? No. I don't know. But Montana knows that he has some pace, so maybe that's a factor. But Charlie's been quick. He's been keeping up with the top 6 within a second of DRS. So maybe he found it too hard to come back. Maybe he feels he's at fault. I don't know who's at fault. I haven't seen it. What I do know is Gelt's also in 6th place. And that's between the medium starters in tonight's race, but that is huge. Montana now at the back of the grid, and he's got 55% of the Grand Prix to try and do what he can in terms of points.
Charlie didn't stand a chance, so he had come out of the corner exit and Montana was just there. Charlie didn't really stand a chance, so certainly not his fault then. That's certainly not the reason he's retired. Askikome and Matrix, the Ferrari team, are doing a bit of a battle from Leclerc from last year. They've been together. Askikome's been clearly quicker for a little while now, and he hasn't managed to depose his Ferrari EU1 teammate. I don't know whether there's no team orders. I haven't heard that there's no team orders, or you know, whether they're going to be doing team of play. But bearing in mind that the reserve driver is there for the benefit of the team, they may need to discuss that either during or after the race.
So this is the top 4 now. So this is Bolin, and then Stinson, Fruitful and Vaporizer. Stinson's the one with the penalty. I believe it's a 3-second one. So that's going to have implications later on in the Grand Prix, I'm sure. So Simply's 2.2 behind. So don't count Simply out for top 5 at the minute. Calzo's not fine behind him. So can we see a Red Bull in the top 5 this evening? Is Fruitful going to push his way through and try and be victorious in his 100th COS race? We'll wait and see. There's still a long way to go. Still a bit of race management being done here. But there is a proper fight now because Montana is going to have to work his way through the pack. And he's 60... Actually, we'll just do a leader gap check. From 10th place, Montana is 41 seconds behind 10th place. And they've pitted. So Montana, it's looking very bleak for points tonight. And after that delay, Jack, I can imagine he's going to be pretty irritated.
Well, the good news is it's not critical for his championship. He'll obviously be frustrated and irritated, like you said. There's been a whole manner of things that go wrong, not just in his race. But you've also got the fact that his championship rival, who is just coming across his teammate in his Williams, that's Fruitful. Fruitful is running a net 3rd, and he's a threat to Stinson. He'll be 2nd once Stinson gets his penalty.
Thomas has just let Fruitful, Stinson and Bolin through, and then he's been really harsh with Vaporizer, so I don't know what's going on there.
Teammate up. You remember I was talking about team racing with the Ferraris. Askikome's finally got past Matrix. Well, Williams are doing it a bit better. They've coordinated that a lot better, and Thomas has
oh yeah, I understand. I was being stupid. So he's letting Fruitful pass and holding up Vaporizer as much as possible. Yeah, right. Yeah,
exactly. So Vaporizer's now been delayed by, looks like the thick end of 2 seconds nearly. 1.5 seconds back from Fruitful. So obviously Fruitful's got his own problems with 2 cars going at it hammer and tongs in front. But Vaporizer's been delayed a little bit, and that means that Fruitful can put his eyes forward for a couple of laps.
That makes sense, and that's just out of DRS as well for Vaporizer, so Fruitful needs to hurry up. Thomas has retired in the pit lane probably because he received a speeding penalty just as he entered it. Stinson is all over Bolin here into Village, and let's see if Stinson can get a good exit here. He's got some battery to play with, but Bolin's put it on straight away too. Down the Wellington straight we go. I don't think Stinson's close enough, but later on he may make a bold move at some point. So Fruitful's trying to catch up as much as he can and get past while his teammate held Vaporizer up as much as possible. I think we've got a good race on our hands. The only downside to this is Stinson's penalty, but I'll have a quick look while Jack speaks about the warnings from the other folk.
So they won't come into play now, but they may well come into play a little bit later on when you're trying to attack late in the race and you've got effectively 1 or 2 warnings in hand. It was certainly a factor on Monday and Tuesday night. It certainly gained, against Tichy last night in the 4 places. It gained yourself but he gave himself a bit of an insurance policy on Monday night. So it really is worth keeping those in check. The places that you're going to get any kind of issues with warnings are likely to be Copse Corner, and potentially the inside of the first corner. That does also have tendency to catch out the unwary there. Matrix has pitted for soft tyres in the Ferrari. Ascicome is going one lap longer. So Stinson now, who's just past Bolin for second place, is now the net leader.
Correct. He has passed Bolin, and how much can he keep it? Once these medium drivers are going to pit, I'm going to check the tyres. Ascicome has done 15 laps, and his highest percentage is 47. Stinson's percentage is highest is 20, Bolin's 17, Fruitful 24. So Fruitful using a bit more of a tyre, but he has done 2 extra laps from Bolin. So tyre's not doing too bad. 10 laps to go when they cross. We've got a real fight for the lead. I believe not many people are on warnings, Jack. I just had a quick look. It's 0 for Bolin, 0 for Fruitful, and only 1 for Vaporizer. So Stinson's going to have to keep it clean because he's on 4.
Yes, exactly. So Stinson, he needs to break away, but I explained earlier, because it's not got any. Because it's not got any kind of sort of corners or anything. These cars are mostly going to be. They're going to be doing the same speed. There's not going to be much time lost. So as soon as it gets to one DRS zone, because they're both at opposite ends of the track as well, they're not one following another, which you normally get. It's going to be very difficult to break that. If you've got DRS, you've effectively got a spare 0.3 of a second in your back pocket. So that's why Bolin's going to be content for the moment to sit where he is. He's got DRS, so he can defend. He's got another defensive tool against Fruitful. Vaporizer's coming back as well, so Fruitful's going to have to think about him. And so it's not a bad position for this McLaren to be in, speaking as a McLaren who was in this position on Monday night.
So Simply's just picked up a penalty, which matches his penalties with Calzo, and I believe there is going to be a fierce fight between Simply and Calzo for the 5th spot. We have Ascicome to pit, probably this lap even. Calzo and Simply, I'm going to have to keep an eye on this, on board with it now, as they've been racing each other for quite a large portion of this Grand Prix, and they look like they're going to race until the end, and that is a fight for 10 points, so we'll keep an eye on it. Rowan's now on the softs. Can he make his way through? A safety car would absolutely help him so much. Here's Caladri into Copse Corner. Which one is it?
It's Collider. You're nearly
Collider,
there, but
right.
we all know who
Collider.
you mean.
Weird spelling, Collider. Maybe it's my weird English. Rowan into Magnussen Beckett's on the soft tyre. Probably expecting a move to be done here if he gets a good exit out of Chapel with DRS as well. Here we go then, right hand side for Rowan. Renault versus Haas, but really it's soft tyre versus medium, and Rowan's up into 8th place. Only 20 seconds off leader, and he's on those soft tyres to the end. Actually, it's not 20 seconds off leader. It's technically 8.8 off Stinson. So don't count Rowan out for a good victory here, but he has got to get past Calzone Simply, which won't be the easiest of tasks to do.
I don't think he's going to win the race. I'd love to be proven wrong, but I don't think he's going to win the race, but he might clear Simply. And if he does clear Simply, then he'll be getting onto the back where Stinson does have penalties. He'll be getting onto the back of that lead group. Ascicome at this point is betting on a safety car because he's got that 5 seconds that he's going to have to serve. That'll drop him probably P12, P13. And so, whilst he'll have the fresh soft tyres, cars around him are also going to have fresh softs. So there's not much hope, unless there's a delay in the race, for him in terms of getting points. So what he's doing here is he's hoping for a safety car. And as I said earlier, when you have an accident here, it's a big accident. But if he can find a way of limiting the damage that a pit stop will do, in terms of additional time, then, it's his best chance.
So, obviously, there is a chance. Ascicome is banking on a safety car. He's Bolin banking on an attempt overtaking to Stowe. I don't quite think so, but he's getting closer. Fruitful's gap to Vaporizer was over a second. It's now not anymore, as he hasn't managed to get past an IFR 1-2-3. Anders Farkas said, and you're absolutely correct. It is an IFR 1-2-3. Ascicome is due a pit stop. Behind the VSC, you can probably save 12 seconds, so 17 seconds. Ascicome could come out in the top 8 with soft tyres if there was something to happen now. But I say this to Jack before we stream every week. Not many things happen in EU1. I've done top tiers on about 7 or 8 different leagues, and there is always more stuff going on in their top tier than here. It's not a bad thing, it's extremely clean most of the time, but not many things happen, and the likeliness of a safety car after lap 1 is pretty rare in the EU1 tier here.
Yes, no, without meaning to feed any egos, they very rarely make mistakes. Might have seen one earlier from the championship leader, so it does happen. But no, you're right. It's a long shot in terms of getting that safety car. He's not losing that much time to Stinson, is he? So his pace is good. But you're right, you need a safety car, and that's exactly what he's doing. And, you know, if he has to bail out at the end, he'll have to bail out at the end.
There's been an overtake on for P11 into Cops, so that's Matrix, who's passed Risa, and can't spend too much time at the bottom, everybody, because something might be happening at the front. Stinson stays ahead. It did creep down to a 10th then. I got a little bit scared. But that's the reason. There are things going on at the top, and at the bottom the gaps are quite big. Unless Matrix can make a move on Jono into Stowe for the final points place. Not quite yet. But Matrix has got some pace, and the Ferrari pace is starting to come out just about. Askikome still hasn't decided to pit. Rita has in P13, so I think that's race over for the Alfa Romeo. He might try to steal the fastest lap, although the point won't go to him. But I'm just awaiting the next overtake. I know Bolin doesn't have to get past Stinson because he's got a penalty, but he's got to be careful because he's got a Williams behind him who if he gets a chance, he'll go for it.
Bolin and Fruitful both have a lot of ERS left. Stinson doesn't. Bolin's got 70% nearly, whereas Fruitful at Luffield was at 100%. So, you know, in that regard, it's one of those that they're just biding their time. You can't really drive off unless the car makes a mistake or you put a really uncompromising move on. So there's no point overtaking just to be repassed. Obviously, if he does get a chance, he'll go for it.
Oh, here's Bolin's opportunity, and that is the chance. Stinson versus Bolin for the race lead of Silverstone, and down to Stowe. Bolin retakes the lead from earlier ago, and he is now ahead. And now he's got to concentrate on keeping ahead of the Alpha. But Fruitful has got to get past Stinson now. He can, not easily, but he's got a chance of winning this Grand Prix. He doesn't want Bolin to pull away. That battery saving might come into play for Bolin here, who, like he said, has got double Stinson's amount. That might be a big move in this race on lap 21 of 26.
I think Fruitful might attack here because he's got 90%, so he can afford to spend a bit here. It's half a second, though. That's the problem, is that Bolin's only been able to get away by half a second. That means he's just going to have the Alfa Romeo breathing down his neck for the rest of the lap because he won't be able to break away.
Here's Calzo and Simply down to Brooklands. Simply stays ahead. Just having a quick look at the tyre wear on the TAS system, and Fruitfuls is on average about 5% on the front and 3% on the rears worse off than the two cars in front of him. So he's going to have to work a little bit with that. Not quite sure it's going to affect too much, but it will affect a little bit about the steering lock and how you can push those tyres. We go through Maggots and Beckett's, and Bolin is starting to pull away a little bit, 6.5 tenths now, and as Jack said, burning that battery now and trying to pull away if he can before during the bits where there isn't any DRS points. Not many laps to go, ladies and gentlemen, and hopefully we're in for a treat.
Askikomi's bet has backfired because not only has he had to pit, he's got another speeding penalty,
yes.
So he's going to have 5 seconds added to the rest of his time anyway. So that it's an elongated pit stop, and he's going to have more trouble after the race.
And Calzo has got past Simply as well, just before the Vale chicane, I believe it was, and he's now ahead of Simply. Can he pull away and solidify that P5 position, which will be a good result for the Red Bull team here in Silverstone? So the top 4 are correct now as Askikome takes a pit stop. Not the best pit stop by his standards, but Bolin, Stinson, Fruitful and Vaporizer fighting for a race win. And if something happened in the next 2 laps, don't count a late safety car for a bit of drama. But I don't think it will, and this is now a fight for the final 5 laps, including this one, to see A, who we're going to be interviewing on the podiums, and B, who's going to be gaining in the championship as much as possible?
Well, Stinson's big problem is he's hamstrung by 3 seconds. So no matter how far no matter how close he is, no matter whether he makes a move or not, he's not going to be able to get away in that time. These guys have all been very evenly matched, and so there's nothing for him to do. He's got to have to hope that other drivers behind him get penalties, otherwise he's going to drop probably to 4th. He might even drop to 5th, depending on if Calzo gets within maybe 2.5 seconds of this train. He's not far from doing that, so well, it doesn't matter now because Calzo appears to have a penalty and Rowan appears to have a penalty, so that's not going to matter so much. So forget what I said there. He's looking likely at the moment to drop to 4th place.
So Rowan hasn't made as much progress as I thought he would. He was about 8.8 behind the leader. It's now 8.9 from a few laps ago. So not as much progress as he would have liked with a penalty too. We're heading down Brooklands and Stinson didn't get the best exit, but Fruitful can't quite capitalise. You can see position changes on your screen as all the pit stops have basically been done. So Fruitful's up 3 from lights out, Calzo's up 5, obviously a large proportion of the top 10 are up, and down 12 for Montana, 7 for Risa. Montana getting no points from Silverstone. I'd like to see what happened between him and Charlie, but we come from that, and the championship will at least go to Australia next week, I'm guessing. But Fruitful has done well, so maybe it might go till after Christmas. I'm not quite sure on the mathematics, but what I do know, he's not winning it tonight, and Fruitful's going to have to work his socks off for the last 3 laps if he wants to win his 100th Grand Prix.
I'll make a bet now. I don't think Montana's going to be having the Contest of Speed EU1 Season 6 trophy on his mantelpiece as he tucks into his Christmas turkey. I think he will wrap it up still, but Fruitful, what he's done here by finishing at least 2nd is he's gained 18 points and will take it past Australia, barring a colossal mess up. He'll take it past Australia. Then they get to the last 3 races, and you never quite know. We had it back in 2007, didn't we, where there was a 2-race lead for a certain driver, and he still didn't win the race.
So Vaporizer... Sorry, Joe.
So, no, Vaporizer has got onto the back of this. He's 8/10 back. Stinson's trying to make his move now in the sort of hope to at least force Bolin into a mistake. Now, Bolin and Stinson and Fruitful have all saved their ERS. Vaporizer's got 80% as well, so he's got plenty of tokens to spend. But Fruitful's probably the one to watch in terms of making a late move, because how much power he's going to have available.
So Vaporizer's got 2 warnings, Fruitful's got 1, Stinson's got 4, so he needs 2 more, and Calzo is reset on the pen. So Vaporizer's got to be careful because he's 1 blip away and Fruitful's 2 blips away from a 3-second time penalty. So there's your update, a yellow sector from Vaporizer on the task system, so maybe the track is starting to evolve just at the end, getting a little bit quicker maybe, I'm not too sure. So Bolin from Stinson from Fruitful. Stinson is going to drop 3 seconds, so that'll be 3.4. That'll be 1 second in front of Calzo at the moment. We'll see if Calzo can close up with 2 laps to go here at British Grand Prix. It's been incredibly delayed this evening. I think interviews will be a little bit too late for them because it's approaching midnight. As there you go, the 1 blip, and that was, by the way, at a turn 1 into Abbey. And Vaporizer now has a penalty, so Fruitful needs to push, and Fruitful will see that on the top left of his, I don't know what you want to call it, the gap thing, where the drivers can see how many penalties each person's got. Fruitful will know he needs to push, and he's only got 1.5 laps, just a little bit more to do it. Should be a 2nd place, though, minimum.
Montana and Risa are both going for fastest lap, so it's not really going to matter. It's just for personal pride at the end of the day, because I don't think anybody in the top 10 has got the fastest lap, and if they have, well, 2 drivers are going to take it away and take that point off the table. Bolin, meanwhile, controlling it somewhat. I say controlling it, he's 2/10 ahead, but he and Stinson have both got the same amount of ERS, whereas Fruitful, 2 cars back, has more battery. So these 2 have got to be careful as to how they spend it. Bolin's going to hang on into Stowe Corner as we start the last lap.
So I'm being told by Wizard, who seems to be a wizard at the maths, if Fruit gets P2 here, which is more than likely, Montana will need to outscore him by 15 in Australia, which again I find quite unlikely. So chances are the championship will be going to 2021, which will be good because that extends it a little bit more, and that's always good. And there's always something to race for. We're on lap 26 of 26. It's been an incredibly frustrating night, not for us. Well, yeah, for us and the drivers, but we are finally on the final lap. And can Fruitful do something special to try and get past Stinson, to try and push Bolin? He's got to get past Stinson down to Brooklands, or I would say it's probably over. Vaporizer is still there, but with 3 seconds. Because of Calzo's penalties, he won't be moving up anymore. How do you say his name again?
Collider.
Collider. May be able to move up a few places because he hasn't got penalties, and he's extremely close to Rowan as he heads into Brooklands, and Fruitful hasn't been able to make much progress as we head into Cops now, and we're getting to the final stages.
May need to get you a Danish phrase book for Christmas.
Fruitful
still has 20% more battery left, so if you can spend it all down the straight and not clip, which is what happens when you do run out of VRS, as is happening to both Bolin and Stinson, you might just have a move.
Well, here we go, and let's have a look around the final few corners for this British Grand Prix. He hasn't been able to make a move. Montana sector 25 dead for the fastest lap, but that's not going to mean anything due to Montana spinning with Charlie out of a pit lane. It's been a pretty straightforward top 4 for us, but Bolin is going to go for pole and win the British Grand Prix, leading mostly every lap apart from a few excursions. Fruitful moves up places to get the second place due to penalties, and Stinson stays ahead of Vaporizer to get a triple IFR podium here in Silverstone. Calzo beats Simply towards the end of the Grand Prix to get into the top 5, and You're
getting there, Collider.
Collider. Yeah, I always think. I'm sorry, Collider. Doesn't Collider. There you go. I'm gonna rhyme it with that. Gets a 7th place on his reserve drive for Haas. Rowan gets 8th place in the end. Couldn't quite move up to where he wanted to. And Jono and Matrix finishing off the points. Red Bull Conzo not quite making it into the points. And Askikome wished for late safety car. It didn't quite pay off. He finished 12th place. And Dresse Basson and Jout races not the greatest for them. Finished 13th and 14th. The championship leader gets 0 points, and Reeser in 16th place. It wasn't a bad race. Was it worth a 45-minute delay? I'm not too sure, but I'm glad it's over, and we'll ask for drivers if they want to do an interview. It is very late, so we'll understand if they say no. We got Fruitful at least, so we got one of them. And it is a triple IFR results here in Silverstone, and 4 cars did not make it through.
The IFR scouting mission appears to have paid off, doesn't it? They're all in there, so they all want to talk. We'll keep it a little bit shorter than the previous races, so I'll ask one question, and Libby will ask one question, because these drivers have probably got beds to get to. Without further ado, I think we will go and speak directly to the race winner. And Bolin, pretty much from pillar to post. You had Stinson ahead of you for a little while. How concerned were you in that middle part of the race, Bolin?
No, it was just driving. How can I say it? Just driving clean. I saw Stinson get 3 seconds, and yeah, we are just. Yeah, it's a DRS train. You can't drive away. So he was getting in front of me. I was just. Saving my ERS, saving my tires, save fuel, and then I overtook him, and I was leading the pack all the way to the finish.
Oh, one question each, sorry. Was this Bolin, yeah?
Yes, this is
I
still
was
Bolin.
just taking pictures of the final standings. Bolin, lights out to the end of the race, 38 minutes, race win. Well done, sir.
Thank you, man.
I'm just having a look at the power rankings. We're a little bit unprepared tonight, Bolin, because we've had a nightmare in the commentary box. So that's 13 race starts and 8 podiums. I mean, come on. The performance of you was great tonight. Momentum. The question simply, could anything have gone any worse for you?
Tonight, yeah, always. It can always. Yeah, it can always. Because yeah, it can, how can I say it? It was just driving clean. and nothing really happened. No overtakes on me. Montana tried once in the first sector, but yeah, it didn't work out for him. Unfortunately, I don't know what happened to him.
He so it came up a pit stop, and I believe a Racing Point, Charlie was there, and they've hit into each other. One had the left wing damage and one had the right wing damage. We didn't quite see the incident, but from a task we can. Yeah, he was last. Sorry, just a bonus question very quickly. Why is it on a track like this, 80% full power, why is it so hard for overtakes to happen?
Yeah, everyone is going full throttle, and when you go full throttle, you can't overtake so easily. And it's not an hard braking point on this track, so you can't outbrake someone. And everyone is using DRS, so yeah, everyone is going the same speed.
Brilliant. Thank you, Bolin. Well done on a race win. It was absolutely superb.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to go to Fruitful now. We'll rattle through the Fruitful. Second place in the race, still second in the driver standings. Obviously, with Montana not scoring a points tonight, you must be fairly happy with the outcome, all things considered.
Well, I'm pretty happy, to be honest. I felt like I didn't really have the pace in this race. I was just driving behind him, just jumping in between 6 and 9 tenths. So, yeah, I was taking risks, but it paid off. Just a P2, no penalties, 2 warnings. I think it was a pretty nice race.
6 on the grid, Fruitful. Second place, 100th cost race. Well done. I'm guessing the undercut that you made 1 lap before, even 2 laps before it might have been, and you got ahead of the net 4. 2 of them you got ahead of. Was that a really key part of you getting second place this evening?
Yeah, that was a key part. If I would have been behind those guys, I would have lost the DRS probably. So it was the most important thing I've done probably. And I wanted to stay out of the pit lane traffic, because that's a nightmare always. So yeah, that was the most important part.
Good man. I'll ask you more questions after the stream because we're a little bit late. JP?
Okay.
Okay, Stinson, so a podium for yourself in the Alfa Romeo. Could have been a victory maybe if you'd had the 3 seconds back, and then you might have been able to launch a bit more of a challenge on Bolin. How do you feel first? Obviously, I think it's your first race, if I'm not mistaken, as an IFR driver, same with Bolin. How do you feel personally? And, is there anything where the race really went wrong?
Yeah, the penalty, of course, but it's a little bit. I'm gonna report it, so it might get removed, maybe. But after that, 3 seconds, and I thought, yeah, maybe there's a chance that it gets removed, maybe it doesn't. We just have to try to break away from the pack. So that's why I switched positions with Bolin, so we could both use our ERS in front to break away from the guys behind. So even if my penalty doesn't get removed, at least I wouldn't drop any more places. And for the rest, yeah, it was just following, switching positions, quite straightforward.
Stinson, well done. You managed to, as well as the others, beat both Mercedes at Silverstone, and also it's a triple 1-2-3 for IFR. I don't know much about IFR, but that's got to have a pretty big statement that 3 of you got the top 3 places in EU1 this evening.
Yeah, it's a Danish team, and we got invited to it to make it more international and to really put quick drivers up front, and tonight it worked.
Good man. Are you happy with your performance?
Yeah, I was. It was a good race.
You going off a happy man even though being delayed 50 minutes?
Even though the delay, I'm a happy man.
Good man. Jack, any final comments?
None really to add, because I think the viewers have got to get away. What I will say, what I will say is that the Australian Grand Prix is going to be quite similar in some aspects, because very hard to overtake there. You get stuck in a bit of a DRS train, and it's very difficult to move forward because of the lack of braking zones at the end of long straights. There's only 2 really that you can make any kind of move into. So it's going to be a survival of the best in terms of qualifying, and then you're just going to have to hope really that you get the strategy calls right as and when they arise. Obviously, there's been issues tonight which will be addressed and looked at, so we'll make sure that from the Twitch side and from our side that we tidy that up.
There'll be a few stern messages going from myself. Chad, you're still on the stream. Please make sure you get your stream sorted at least half an hour before to avoid what we had. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Thank you to the interviewers. Please tune in for Melbourne next week. I love Melbourne. It's the final race before Christmas, and the championship will absolutely, I'm sure, go to 2021 as of tonight's result. So we've got a long way to go before we crown Montana, and many things can happen, that's for sure. Stay safe, have a good night. American Tier is now only 2 hours away because of the slight delay that we had. And we'll leave you to watch the American Tier if you're staying up later on. If not, have a good sleep. You've deserved it all. And for myself, Jack, and the interviewers in the party, a very good night to you all.